Just when you thought you would never hear from us again, back from Tennessee, it's Taylor and Liz
Who went
with
to
the
Tennessee?
Clydes. Somebody did, probably. Not us, but somebody did. Anyway, it's us again in your ear holes, or maybe in your eyeballs because you're watching on Spotify or you're watching on YouTube. It's been a long time.
You're like unhinged right now. I don't know how to feel or take you.
Did you want to do the intro?
I don't understand.
Too bad. We already did it. We're living in the moment, baby. What's going on, you guys? It has been a very long time, but we are back. We make no apologies for being absent because we've been living life to the fullest and
Have we?
I think we have.
I don't want you to lie to them.
No, I genuinely feel like we haven't been pulling back. We've been going full force on everything that we've done. So, I mean, last week, last month, last year, when we did our last episode, we talked a little bit about what we've done in the past in that little break of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that maybe this time we could just do the same thing and just talk a little bit more about what they've been missing as they've been living their life.
I feel like part of me is like, they don't want to hear about us, but the podcast is called The Clydes.
Yes, you are all here for
Us.
such a time as this.
Feels weird. Like, okay, listen to us. Talk about us.
No, but I think that's the cool part. The podcasts as a whole have become this really popular, really saturated kind of thing. Like there's a lot of podcasts out there. Have you noticed that?
Mm-hmm.
There's a ton of podcasts out there. I've got a friend when we went to Story Church that I met a long time ago and found out that she started a podcast. And so I've been listening to that, which is super fun. But there's just so many different voices out there, and I think it's cool that you get to hear their different perspectives.
Yeah, and once again, like the desire of our podcast was to make this almost like an audible diary for us.
Yeah.
To kind of regurgitate almost like a therapy in a way to talk verbally about our day, what we're going through.
Sure.
And maybe just something that we might be struggling with, or a nugget that we got from a sermon, or an enlightenment we got from scripture. We can share that with you guys, and hopefully it will help you as it has helped us. So we make no apologies for the break. It was mainly my fault. Because, as you know, I am no longer a teacher, and so all of my teaching things, aka all my anime stuff, had to go into a room, and it junked up the podcast room and the guest room. Still junking up the guest room. But if you look around,
anime things.
There are so many posters hung up, flags, anime plushies. I make no apologies for how anime this room is now.
Yeah, if you're just listening, you're really missing out by not joining the conversation on YouTube or watching it on Spotify, because you'll notice all of the ridiculous anime things that are literally surrounding me.
And you literally only see a corner.
Yeah.
I'm not ready for the big reveal. And the sad thing is, I have to get rid of stuff.
You do.
Because
There's
I'm only
a lot of
allowed
stuff.
in this one room.
It's a lot of stuff.
But speaking of me not, being in my classroom or returning to teaching, I still don't have a job. And it's very scary.
It's true. So if you're out there and you are
Wanna
a
hire
hiring
me?
manager, hit up Liz.
But, hiring manager that pays well. Not trying to sound entitled, but I'm not doing an entry-level job with the MBA.
Fair enough.
So I have a little bit higher standards, which makes my choices limited. So praying for the right choice to come very quickly.
Yeah. And so you have an MBA. Mm-hmm. You're a licensed minister with the Assemblies of God.
I am.
You have a bachelor's in
Ministerial leadership.
and an associate's in baking
Pastry.
Pastry.
Yeah. I don't even know where I'm going to hang my degrees now that I'm looking at all these anime walls.
True.
Okay.
But the reason I said that is because you are highly intelligent and you are highly educated. So tell us about, tell them, I guess. Like, actually tell me. This is a conversation between me and you.
Okay.
They just get to be little passengers.
Walking them out.
So this whole application process, I know you told me you've applied to so many places. How many places roundabout?
Right around 50.
Around 50 places. You put in even more applications than you've gotten interviews in that whole thing. Tell me a little bit about currently your headspace, because it's one thing if you're just out of high school and you're trying to get a job and it's a hard time. You have a ton of degrees behind you, a lot of experience, and it's still been a little bit more challenging than you thought. what's your mindset like these days?
Oh, super disappointed. Super disappointed.
Pretty bummed.
Definitely, it's hard not to put my self-worth in the title of a job because this is the very first time I do not know what's going to happen career-wise. Usually I have something either lined up or I'm aiming for. I have something, like whenever I didn't have a lot of experience, I worked at a salon in between jobs, and that was fine because I was in between jobs with barely a degree.
I forgot about that season.
It was very short.
It really was.
But so, and I'm not saying I'm too good for Starbucks or Target. I think I would crush working in the paint section at Lowe's. I would very much get a lot of joy out of that. But I do have, professional goals, and that would not align with my professional goals. So just having the disappointment of jobs you really, 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 really want,
Yeah.
and it being a no. And especially there was one job I prayed and I thought I got confirmation from the Lord, and I really thought it was about to go forward, and it did not. That was soul crushing.
The worst.
The worst. And then just a lot of like identity of self-worth, because
Yeah.
putting in applications, not hearing anything back, but then getting interviews and not getting chosen to go to a second interview, and then getting those emails of not even being able to be interviewed and saying, we have moved forward with another application. You're like, well, you didn't even give me a chance. So it's crazy out here.
Yeah.
And I read something, just a meme on Facebook. I don't think I saved it, but it pretty much just says something about even in the no is the goodness of God.
That was a meme on Facebook?
Not a meme. I shouldn't say meme. I say technology wrong. Or things, but like it was like an image. I just call every like little image a meme that someone will post.
Oof. You got to be careful now as we get closer to November.
Oh yeah,
Now they're all just political memes.
But I mean, that really encouraged me. And every no is the goodness of God. So God
Yeah.
is still good, despite this season of. You've seen it. There's been days I have been fairly, have the peace, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe I'm not stressed right now. And then there's been days I've been in a puddle.
Yeah.
Of like, no, don't buy that $20 thing. I don't have a job.
Yep. Which is life. And I think it's the same. We get this bad idea that when you give your life to the Lord, everything's going to be amazing and perfect and shiny and happy. But even in the audiobook that we were just listening to, which, by the way, if you're looking for an audiobook or a book on prayer, Red Moon Rising is a phenomenal book. I'm reading it right now. I'm wrapping it up. And it is just such a great book it follows the process of this organization called 24/7 in their call to prayer. But one of the things that he was just saying is that in their prayer movement, they've been seeing signs and wonders, healings, miracles, all those kinds of things, devoting themselves to, this stints of 24/7 prayer. And in that whole process, they're still dealing with thorns in the flesh. And they're still dealing with sick wives. They're still dealing with wives that, or spouses that walk out on them, and difficulty in life. And that's such a tension that we've got to figure out how to balance. And I think you brought up a really crazy point too, of with that one position that you were like, man, I just felt like I heard the Lord say, like, this is the next move. How did you reconcile feeling like you heard the voice of the Lord giving you that confirmation, and then realizing that you heard wrong?
Oh, crushed.
Yeah.
I cried for days.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even now, like, you get like a little emotional because it's a scary season. It's a vulnerable season, because I was like, well, you, even as a female, you want to provide, you have financial goals. I always say, if you want to, like in the past when I was like super just trying to trust in myself and not on God, if you wanted to get to me, you would get to my finances. But that was, you just kind of like go and you question everything. You don't dwell on it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, God, are you even real right now?
Right.
And then you kind of it's hard not to get negative, especially like going through all the stuff I've gone through. And just the other day, like a spiritual mentor of mine was like, I was praying for you, and I just don't understand why God gave you all these burdens to bear, pretty much. And I'm like, me neither. I don't know why. And I have, not saying, not trying to have a pity party, but if you look on paper, I've gone
Yeah.
through a lot of junk.
Yeah.
And as someone who follows the Lord, you're like, why? Like, so at that time, I've just felt like another, well, add it to the list of disappointments, add it to the list of God, you failed me. And that's the flesh talking. That's not the reality. But in that moment, you feel that God has failed you, even though you know he doesn't. But like,
Yeah.
it's the battle of the flesh and battle of a pity party. And so you just have to text your friends and ask them to pray for you.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
you have to, get that good group of people that lets you be sarcastic and kind of like a little snarky, but they don't let you stay there. You know what I mean? You got to get it
Yeah.
out a little bit. You got to get it out a little bit. You got to kind of make a couple of like jabs, and then it's like, all right, now we got to be better.
I understand. Jason Burbacher is my campus pastor, so there's a little bit of healing in cynicism
Yeah.
in small doses.
So you just kind of, yeah. You kind of do it, and even I was thinking today in the shower because all good thoughts or random
Oh, yeah.
thoughts come in the shower. I was just thinking, I was like, wow, I'm not as sad anymore because I know something better is going to come. But that doesn't change the fact that I wanted that,
Yeah.
even
No, I
though
don't think
like the
anybody.
Lord has something better that you just don't see. And then one of my friends texted me and was saying that she was praying for me. It came out of like left field, that's how you have good friends, because they pray for you without you asking
Yep.
for prayer.
Yep.
And it came out of left field, and I had you read it, pretty much just saying, praying for you, the Lord is preparing you for a season, and he already knows the perfect job for you, and you may not even know it.
Yeah.
So just little encouragements,
That's
doses.
super good. I love that you told us how we can dig ourselves out of that sad pit. Not to make it melodramatic, but like when we get really down in our feelings, how we can climb out of that stuff. I think reaching out to friends is massive. And I think just taking time in the shower, I think all those good ideas come because your phone's not there, your TV's not there, unless
You're like relaxed.
yep, you're relaxed. There's nothing
and-
that's getting your attention, so you have more time to think. And I think even just taking time to slow yourself down, however you want to do that, and remember and meditate on the goodness of the Lord, thinking about that stuff. What has He done recently for me? What has He done a long time ago for me? Like just calling those things back to remembrance and seeing what that does. Which I think we talked about gratitude a while back. In
Yeah,
an
gratitude
episode.
helps. I bought a gratitude journal. I did it for one day. I'm looking at it right over there.
Oh, guys, one day we have to do a podcast that's like shifted a little bit so you can see the bookshelf.
All the journals we started and never finished.
It is gorgeous though. We went to IKEA recently and got a center section for the bookcase.
Oh, yeah, because they've seen the background. As you can see,
yeah.
the
Oh, yeah,
background's
yeah,
not
yeah.
behind us anymore because I needed a post. The whole room has changed. But yeah, we have a corner now, so now the bookshelf kind of wraps around the wall.
Yep.
It's very nice.
Speaking
My
of really
anime
nice.
plushies are over there.
Yep. Chef
Yeah.
Pikachu is there from Japan, reminding me that I'm not in Japan.
I'm gonna try, if I can get a job.
Don't give me false
If I can get a
promises,
job,
Liz.
I would love to go to Japan back this April for cherry blossom seasons.
And we'll do a podcast there.
Maybe.
Yeah, that'd be
With
kind
our
of crazy.
missionary friends.
Speaking
tell
of
me
nice
about
things,
you.
though, I am currently resisting the millennial urge to say the phrase that everybody gives us garbage for, which is, I did a thing.
I didn't know people gave us garbage for that.
It's because you're a millennial. Tough, Liz.
But who gives garbage and where do they give it?
All these Gen Z punks, they think they're so cool. So they're just like, oh, that's so
Do you just say that
chuggy.
because like you go on TikToks and you see Gen
Yeah.
Z hating on millennials?
The
So
fact
like
that you
3
added an S
people?
to TikTok also means that you may actually be a boomer. I don't know,
Stop.
but I did a cool thing that I'm really proud of. I think I may have mentioned it on the pod before, but maybe not. But I've been talking about this. I did talk about it, the Worship Leader Coaching Circle. I think I mentioned it in the last episode or the one before that. But really, it was just a Facebook group that I launched to basically just bring a bunch of worship leaders together so that we can learn from each other's shared experiences and failures and get better at our craft and grow deep friendships and things like that. So launched the Facebook group and got a few members, not very many, but it's still a work in progress, which is awesome. Still the early days of it. So that's happening. We've got some good conversations going on. We've had some conversations on, hey, I got a worship night coming up. What kind of songs or elements should I add? Hey, what songs are we doing for this Sunday? And just worship leader thingies like that. So community continues to grow and be a cool thing. But over the weekend, I launched the website.
The website.
Which was like part 2 of this whole plan. So in addition to the Facebook group now, we've got a full-fledged website and decided to launch a blog because I'm so good at keeping up with all of the creative outlets that I already have in place.
So good.
Such as this podcast.
With your systems and routines.
I know if I want to be good at it, I'm good at it. And if I don't put the passion towards it, it's just not super consistent.
Didn't help that it wasn't set up. So we had to clean the room. We had to do, so it wasn't like.
Yeah.
Okay, don't take that bait so
No, that's
so
good. That's not my fault. Thanks, Liz. I appreciate that.
You would have done it if you really wanted to, though.
Nah, probably not. It's all your fault. So anyway, but yeah, the podcast is launched. I've got a blog on there. I'm excited to have some guest writers that are going to do some featured writing as well on there. And launched a invite Taylor to your event link, which was the weirdest thing.
I had to convince you to add that on.
Yeah, because I don't love
self-promotion.
The smell of self-promotion. Mm-hmm. I don't.
But you're so dang good, and people ask you all the time if you would be willing, and you just don't have anything set up.
Yeah, true.
For them to follow through.
Yeah, so now that's there, which is cool. And then I also put a little the final piece on there, which I've been really scared to launch, which is the private Zoom group.
Oh.
So we have I'm going to launch basically like every 3 months, do a 12-week long private Zoom group with a few worship leaders. And we're going to just talk about different elements of worship leading and leadership in general and specifics and how to work with your team on different things, spontaneous worship, all that kind of fun stuff. Prayer is obviously going to be a big part in there. But it is a paid track, and that is so outside of my comfort zone.
That is crazy because you like buying things, but the concept of money, you don't really like care about having money, if that makes sense.
Money and ministry have always been two totally separate things for me too. Mm-hmm. Like even when I first got hired at Faith, it was my first ministry job. Like the first paycheck, I was like, this feels weird.
I remember the first paycheck that you got whenever you did some kind of VBS or camp, or you did something, and you just put the paycheck straight into the offering.
Did I really?
You did.
No
and
way.
I was so mad at you.
Is that a thing for real? You're not
real.
lying to me.
No, I'm not lying to you.
No cap?
Stop. No, I remember, I see the church in my head. I can't remember what you're doing, but I remember you saying that you always said your first paycheck you were just going to give to the Lord.
Shut up. So is it real?
I'm dead serious. Yeah, I wouldn't lie to you.
Here's why I'm kind of freaking out about that. Because number one, I have a horrible memory.
You do?
So I can't remember things. Number two, I am very principled, which to me, when I say that, I'm saying like the things that I have black and white lines on, I think maybe not a principled person. I'm a purist. So like I like it when ethics are very clear, when morality is very there.
Yeah, you like rules.
Yes. And loosely. And for me, like that to me, giving your first thing that the church gave you, first service that you did for them, for the people and for the Lord, obviously, giving it right back into the offering, I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it wasn't some of a family worship. You were either doing, I think it was a revival maybe. Remember whenever you went to the wrong church with a group of people? Remember?
We do worship.
You did worship.
And I wore a yellow long sleeve shirt.
I don't think so, but I don't know if it was this time, but I remember you and Mallory.
Yeah.
What was her maiden name?
Perkins.
But now Mallory Perkins. Luttrell was with you.
Yeah, Wes
and you
was
went
there.
to John's Island or John's something, but you went to John's Island because it was called John's the church or something like that, but it wasn't the church. You went to John's Island for a church that was called like St. John's or something like that. But you
Yeah.
went to the wrong one. It's the one like we always pass in Monk's Corner. I think it was that one.
Yeah. Oh well. Oh,
Sorry,
that's
that was a
awesome.
long rabbit trail. But you did it, I promise. And now I'm hitting
Sick.
my mic.
That's cool. But yeah, so I launched Worship Leader Coaching Circle, and so the full platform is out there. So now, the only thing that I've dreamed up is now in existence, and it is the scariest thing
To
to start something like that, to put yourself out there. I texted the guys Saturday night, and I texted him just a link, and I said, "Well, she's live." And I just said it's the scariest thing to put yourself out there, because what if nobody cares? What if you write 100,000 blogs and one person reads it? What if I have nobody sign up for the Zoom groups? And what if nobody ever visits the website? Was it worth it? Was any of that even worth it? And to me, I have resolved in myself at this season of my life, I'm going on 32 years old. You guys can't see it, but I have like two
You
or
have
three
one
gray
gray hair.
2 or 3. Don't lie to these people, especially if they can't see the
He
video.
really wants a gray beard.
We'll get there one day. More wisdom, Lord. And so, but I'm at the point now where I'm genuinely satisfied operating in my craft and skills to the Lord. And if anybody likes it, that's great. But if they don't, bummer. It's not a self-image hit like it would have been early in ministry when my priorities were way shifted and way misproportioned. So that's actually a really cool place to be. And I think that's why, other than my massive low self-esteem to even start this stuff and to put it out there, I think that that's why it's easy to just put it out there and to just continue to grind for it, or grind into it, not grind for anything, but put the work into it, because I know that my heart is pure in trying to help people, not trying to make $1 million, not trying to make a big name for
I
myself.
mean, if you did, then I wouldn't be so stressed about my job. So.
True. Be like Goku whenever that guy gave him the briefcase full of money and he's like, "You deserve it. Take it." He's like, I don't want this. I don't need this."
But I like that you said you're going to have to put the work into it, because so often people will have an idea and they try it and it doesn't come as they want. Like, or I think of all these people who they think they're going to be TikTok famous, or see, I said it right, or they're going to launch this business and it's going to be successful overnight, and that's just not how it happens. You
Right.
have to put work into it, and it gets so frustrating when people was like, "Well, I guess this isn't what God wants for me." I'm like, "No, you have to plow the field. You have to plow it. You have to water it. You have to plant seeds. You have to get out the weeds. It's a whole process, and people give up way too soon, which is, borderline what I threatened to do with this podcast. You're like, "Taylor, if we do not record, we are quitting."
It's true. No, there's no overnight successes ever, period. There's 0 overnight successes. And I think people get so discouraged, especially I would say a younger generation. Uh-oh, he's old now. I think especially a younger generation that looks, like you said, at digital influencers, and they're like, man, they just make a 10-second video and they've got like 1,500 views and they're just so popular and blah, blah, blah. But you have no clue about the backstory.
They don't see, because especially we come from the generation, which now is sounding super old, but it's fine. YouTube was getting big with us. And so now that was kind of like before TikTok and Instagram. We would watch people vlogs on YouTube with their like bad camera phones and all that whatnot. And
the 4:3 aspect ratio.
Yep. And so what they don't realize, they're seeing a lot of what's happening. They're seeing years of hard work cultivate in a 10-second video.
Right. Yep.
And so they go back maybe a year or so, but they don't realize, because of the consistency they did for 5-7 years.
Yep.
Now they have built a following, or they built a business, they built a product, and now they get to reap the harvest of what they built.
So true. It is so true.
So keep grinding, make us money, and then I can be a stay-at-home dog mom.
It's never been about performance.
Perfection.
Striving
for acceptance.
Is that what it is?
I think
never
so.
been about performance. Perfection. Striving for acceptance. Yeah, I guess so. If you're looking for a song to add to your worship set, add The Blood. It's a
I was
wonderful
gonna say
song.
Nothing But the Blood, but I was like, that's
Nah.
a different song that
But you got
dates me
baptized to
even
that
more.
song. What was your favorite YouTuber growing up?
Remember we watched gosh, what was his name? Olin Rogers.
Olin Rogers was the bomb.
We loved him.
I forgot about him, yo.
And then we watched Markiplier a lot, and we're not even gamers.
I feel like that was later though. That was when you were
Yeah.
kind of getting cooler. Let me hear some of the cringy early YouTubers that you liked.
It wasn't cringy. I was just talking about this the other day, but it was like animation. Our dog is going to make an appearance if you are watching. But remember, it was Charlie the Unicorn with that like dumb animation, and then
Charlie
Salad
the-
Fingers. That was like really big.
Yeah, we were of the generation where Flash animation was like really getting to be a prime thing.
Yeah,
So we
people
had
were
all
like
those.
discovering how they could make their own videos.
I had a website that I used to visit like all the time, like at
Albino
school,
Black Sheep.
and nobody remembers albino black sheep.
Ah, it was that for real.
So as long as I
Soulmate.
can, I'm gonna drop it in as many things like this as I can,
Soulmate.
so that people can hopefully comment and be like, "Oh, I loved albino black sheep." If you tell me that, you can lie to me, but if you tell me that, I will literally be like,
Did you just fall in love with me a little bit more because I knew your website and I didn't
was
know
nice.
you were going to say that?
"It was nice."
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I love that for us.
Yeah, there was this girl that I followed on YouTube
This girl?
for forever.
kidding.
I still follow her on my old account because, it's like MySpace or whatever. Like eventually you just like leave your account and it just goes. Strawberry 17.
Oh, I bet you she's not 17 anymore.
Which is wild because I still follow these sisters on TikTok today, Strawberry Milk Mob. So I'm
Wait,
like,
is it the same one?
no, it's not the same
Oh,
one,
I got
but like, what's
excited.
my affinity with strawberries? Like that's, anyways. But yeah, Strawberry 17 was one of my favorites back in the day. She just did like lifestyle blogs. Oh, and then there was Mystery Guitar Man. Mystery Guitar Man did
remember
all
you
these
talking about him.
crazy edits. Yeah, it was wild.
Do you think in like 20 years people are going to be like, remember that old podcast, The Clydes?
No, they'll be like, yeah, so I was in my devotion time reading Spurgeon and listening to the Clydes, and we'll be right there with Charles Spurgeon. I'm so mad you're laughing so hard at that.
Because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, no, that's pretty silly.
It's like I was lonely driving in the car listening to The Clydes. I feel like that's
I was at my
more
darkest area.
our
About to.
motifs.
Never mind.
I wanted to feel better about my life, so I listened to this couple, The Clydes, and they were the worst.
Look, man, if my suffering can make your life easier, go for it. I love that. So we did those things. Am I missing anything major that happened?
No, we haven't really been that busy. I did go to New York with the family,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
it was good. I went with my sister, and we brought her oldest daughter and the 5-year-old kiddo, the 5-year-old son. It was good. It was just tiring because I'm used to either going with Taylor or myself and kind of doing what I want when I want. So planning a trip for them to like hang
Yeah.
out with my dad and not being having to do the planning but not being on my timeline and my schedule.
Yep.
It was hard.
Not having the freedom to do whatever you wanted to do.
Yeah, and then the 5-year-old was a 5-year-old boy. So I'll just leave it at that.
Doing what he does. What a
Yeah,
time.
but
We
it
had
was
the cat,
good.
in case
So
you're
that's-
wondering.
That was pretty much. We haven't done much. We just been consistently busy.
Consistent full plates.
Yeah, but not
hate
overwhelming.
I don't use the word. I try not to use the word busy anymore. Like I actively try not to use the word busy, which I know sounds like, oh, he's one of those guys. But no, truthfully, like everybody.
Oh, you got your Nord.
I did get my Nord. Let's talk about the Nord in a second because I want to say this. This is a good thought.
Okay, sorry.
But yeah, people that are always like, "Hey, how are you?" "Oh my gosh, I'm so slammed. I'm so busy." Blah blah, and that's always bothered me because it always makes it feel like, oh, like you can't control your schedule or like you can't do this kind of stuff. Which some people are in seasons where you can't. But I've started saying like I've got a full plate. Like I'm doing
With
good,
a
but I got a
full
full plate.
heart.
So, oh yeah. And also, ladies and gentlemen, I got my dream keyboard sitting downstairs right now.
Putting us in financial ruin when I don't have a job.
Who is it that found this on Marketplace and then messaged the guy and set up the
Okay, yeah,
arrangement?
guys, I kind of did some girl math. Can I tell them the price we paid? Because they can Google prices of Nord.
Sure.
But goes with my girl math. Oh, hi, Kita. Our cat just jumped up into my lap. So the Nord he wanted was probably what, a stage 3 or 4, and it was going to be like.
Honestly, no, I wanted a stage 2.
Oh,
I didn't want
really?
the brand
Well,
new one.
they
Yeah.
didn't. Well, the point, but we were talking about the brand new one when you first.
You wanted
talked
me to
about
have
it.
the brand new one.
I didn't even know different ones. You said 3.
Oh yeah.
I don't even know, and I think a brand new one is 5 now that I've learned. So
Stage 4 is
Okay, so
Expansive.
calm down. So he told me the price range like $4,000. I'm like, okay, well that's going to take us like 18 months to save. So I had a plan.
Yep.
And we started saving. And then I asked him, I'm like, have you even looked at used Nords? He's like, oh yeah, I would love it too, but they're hard to find, and even finding them would be like $200-$300 to ship them here.
Right.
And then I'm
Yep.
like, oh, and then we would probably still have to pay taxes on the website. So I get that. And then I had the idea to look at Facebook Marketplace.
Did I ask you to?
No, I just
Okay.
had the idea.
That's fine.
Because here's the thing, Taylor would
No.
say every single. I call it financial
calm.
manipulation. I say that in love and half seriousness.
Sure,
Because
sure.
Taylor every single day was talking about how much he wanted the Nord and how he longed for it. And one day when I get my Nord, and I'm a people pleaser. We've talked about this in therapy. I am
How
a
I
people
long for the
please
days.
stop. I am a people pleaser, and if I'm not pleasing Taylor, which that sounds like very like, I'm not like a housewife. I watched him do laundry while I played on my phone in the bed today. So I'm
Two
not
baskets
really,
of laundry.
2 baskets of laundry. But so the point is, if I feel like he's not happy and I'm a people pleaser, then I'm like, you don't like me. I need to make you happy. And so I acknowledge that as an internal thing I need to continue working on myself. But I'm like, he's not happy. If he's not happy, then he's probably not happy. He won't be happy with our marriage. This is me being completely drastic. If you watch Inside Out 2,
I was just gonna say that.
anxiety is, my friend. And so I just had the idea to look on Marketplace, and I found one for $2,100 that was only a
Right.
3-hour drive away. And so this is where the girl math came in. I'm
Okay.
like, I can spend $2,100 now,
Sure.
no shipping, no taxes, because remember, taxes are about 10%, so
Yeah.
that would have been at least $200 in taxes and $300.
Yep.
So $500 just in taxes and shipping. I was like, or we would save to get the $4,000 one in 18 months. So I just chose, I'm like, we can go ahead and get the $2,100 now with what we've already saved up versus the $4,000 one later.
I think it's interesting the phrase that you said, though.
What?
I chose.
Stop. And so Taylor manipulated me and financially abused me. And so we went and we got it. But this is his birthday is coming up in October, so this
Yep.
is his birthday gift. Our
Yep.
anniversary is in September, so this is
Yep.
his anniversary gift. This is also his Christmas gift.
Yep.
And it's his next birthday gift.
Mm-hmm.
And so that means next Christmas too. So I mean that's 5 gifts
It's really not bad.
right there. Because I
It's truly not bad.
calculated, I usually spend about X amount on your gifts.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do 2,000,
This is not a
divided by
budget
5.
episode, though. So,
So yeah, that's like $400 on a gift. I'm
Sure.
just saying that was my girl math, and I saved
Interesting.
2,000. But Taylor has a Nord,
a lot of good things happening these days.
so if you book him for a worship event, he can bring his own Nord.
WorshipLeaderCC.com.
WorshipLeaderCC.com. I helped you come
I
up
don't
with
even
that
feel
website.
bad about. You did. We were on a walk, and I was like, "Oh no, Worship Leader Coaching Circle was changed."
We
or
started
taken.
75 Hard and Failed
We did also do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
within the month.
Yep. That was not superb. Yeah, a lot of cool things.
Yeah, nothing bad per se. I mean, not having a job stinks, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Kind of in that interesting season of life where nothing major is happening, but nothing small. So, like nothing too small.
Yeah. This time I really, because New York's out the way, so really nothing to, I don't like saying nothing to look forward to because that sounds very
Ouch.
melancholy, but I'm just saying there's no events
Yeah.
that's kind of pressing, so I feel like we're actually going to get to the slowdown of life.
Just in time for the fall. Well, any last things you want to tell the people? before
Pray for your girl. I would like
Yes.
a job. What's that TikTok? Well, I'm not looking for a man in finance. I'm
looking for a job in anything.
No,
Pay me
I
with a
do-
paycheck.
I would like a higher paycheck to match my MBA, and so that's why I'm kind of running into trouble because everyone and their mom applies for the higher jobs,
True.
and apparently everyone has an MBA
Gotta go,
now,
cat.
according to LinkedIn.
Yeah, tough.
So just say a prayer for me if you guys think about it, and hopefully within a couple podcasts. Are we going to start back weekly, or are we going to do? Like,
I'm not telling them
bi-weekly?
anything like that. We're just gonna shoot for the
We'll
moon.
catch you next time when we catch you next time.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I love it. It's good stuff. Well, hey, thanks for joining us again for this episode. Sorry it's taken so long, but also not sorry, because we are doing our best to live our life as authentically and as close to Jesus as humanly possible. So, that being said, we'll see you when we see you. You know, we'll do our best to.
Technically, we never see them. They see us when they see
Oh,
us, or
true.
hear us when they hear us.
Yeah, true. All right. Until we see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Have a good life.
Sure.
We'll see you guys.